like I said, realistically, it was so obvious and so clear that JFK. It was just JFK and Richard Nixon and a bunch of other people that were just filing all these frivolous lawsuits. Like I said, they were saying that I had to pay them for the engines on the SR-71. They're saying we invented the SR-71 jet engines. We need your money from my, and they're trying to get money from my aircraft companies to give them money for my jets. And you know, it was just basically Richard Nixon and JFK and a bunch of other people that were basically just doing frivolous lawsuits. Like I said, they never really got all that far. They just kept on attacking Germany, and it was obvious, and Germany just kept on killing them, and kept on killing them. You know, and we found out that it was the blacks that were forcing the whites or whatever, you know, and then we just put them in jail and arrested them and deported them out of the country, and then they would attack again, pretty much with other people, you know, and they kept on using all these uniforms which were obviously handmade and not real uniforms, saying, "Oh, look, it's the Germans," but the collars would be, one collar would be longer than the other one, and like it was obviously just, they just took some gray cloth and hastily sewed it together, and then basically ran and died. And it was just a bunch of, and then there was just all these people. There was like 3 people that kept on surrendering, and you know, we were started to take picture of the people that surrendered to us after the other people had died, and it's like, look, there are 3 or 4 people that keep on surrendering, and we just shot them in the head. We're like, you don't get to surrender anymore. Pop, pop, pop. And some other people went, how dare you shoot those people? They surrendered to you. It's like, that was the 4th time they surrendered. And then we shot them in the head, after they had led another group to their death again. They would go and get 1,000 people from, or 300 people. They couldn't even get 1,000. They would get 300 people from America. Then they would steal a ship. Then they would run it aground into Germany. They would jump off and run towards the defenses in Germany. We would shoot them. It's obviously an attack. And they would die. Then they would photograph. They would film, or actually we would film. And then Richard Nixon, JFK would take this and say, look what the Germans are doing! They're killing people! They're killing their citizens. Literally, in court. And it's like they're carrying guns and bad uniforms. They're not really an army, nor they're a militia. And they were attacking the beach with a cheap, cheesy, crappy boarding ship, landing ship. That wasn't even really a landing ship. They just took a ship and welded some stairs on it. And then ran and died against the defenses. And we arrested actually more than we shot. There actually, a lot of them were actually shot in the leg. Because the Germans were actually really, really, really good shots. And you know, like I said, and the black people were actually behind the white people, would shoot through the white people sometimes. I mean, like I say, it's just an obvious thing. They, like I say, the South Africans had taken white settlers and basically were like, "Come on, let's go, off the boat," and they would push them off first. And some of the white settlers were actually a part of it. They're like, "Oh, look." Anyway, and the same people would surrender every time. They would get a bunch of people killed, and they would wave up the white flag, and then some Germans would go out there and arrest them. And then, you know, and then we would film, and they would be filming, and then they would say, "Look what these Germans have done! Look what the Germans have done!" And it was like, you know, and they would play it on the TV. Germany once again kills innocent beachgoers. And it's like, there's the landing ship in the background, beached. There's the fake American soldiers. There's the German soldiers arresting the fake soldiers. And there's the people with the white flag going after their friends have died. And then they just went to court with it later on and said, these photos prove the Germans are bad. And it's like, that was an illegal landing ship. And Yeah, you just died against my defenses again. And they were just going after the German leader. But it's like, I'm also the leader of America too, so it really didn't hold any water. And no one and everyone laughed Nixon and JFK out of court. And it was clearly just a South African plot. And everyone said, hey, it's a South African plot. It's like, yeah. You know, I mean, no one even took it seriously, really, because they were just, you know, some of those white people were hostages, some of them weren't. They're just gathering up hostages and then basically just pushing them at the German defenses, and they would die. And later on, like I said, we started just shooting them in the leg, and then we started going after to figure out which leader who was actually doing this. And it was just a bunch of black people and some other people, and mostly, like I said, it was just a bunch of photographs. And I mean, we knew for hundreds of years. I mean, it wasn't the first time they had attacked. And it took them forever to actually get in behind and actually get some suckers who they promised. They're like, the South Africans or whoever was promising a bunch of white people, they're like, if you let us in, we will give you stuff. And it was just some pure white people that, you know, they were actually using the color code system, and they're like, you are white just like we are black. You may have things if you help us. And like I said, it's just a bunch of stupid kids that helped some old German defense. I mean, they really, like I said, we were going to take down the defenses. We thought it was safe, but that's when they rammed us and rolled in, and they were just rolling in like a wave, you know, and we were destroying them right and left. I mean, mostly the war that happened was the war in Spain. That was the biggest war ever because the South Africans kept on making pushes into Germany, and basically, you know, they just kept on dying. You know, it's just like a normal thing. It's like every couple of years they attack, and every couple of years we defend, and they die. Bunch of really white people and a bunch of really black people. The war's been going on hundreds of years. Whatever. And it was just a bunch of stupid kids from America, you know, that would be like, oh, we can go fight the war, and they were just stealing stuff. I mean, it was pretty much open shut. It's like that psychopath in Africa, that black guy. Eventually we killed him. And then that's when JFK started doing this whole thing, and, you know, eventually we killed him too. And that just left Nixon. So, anyway, everyone just knew it was bullshit. They knew it was fake. Fake news. They had a TV station in South Africa or Africa, and they were just broadcasting all kinds of stuff, and everyone just laughed at them because it was ridiculous. Anyway. Yeah, well, I mean, they were crazy.